Who cared about a weak eruption here, where there were all over the world? Veramente inutile che lo dica a te, già sai. I don't even have to tell Salvatore where to slow down and where to stop. He already knows. He yelled at me, shut up. I already know. Sorry, Salvatore. You know, when you work, when the driver is a real driver, that's what happens, you see? Yeah, that's nice, I love that, it's not something. Now everybody, once we turn right, start to have a look to the left. We're not gonna slow down here, but we're gonna slow down in 30 seconds, because the view is gonna be better. You can start to spot some islands in the middle of the sea. I know you see two. You see two islands. I hope you trust me. Over there we have 3 islands, not two. You see two just because of the perspective, okay? But there are 3 islands, and these islands are known as Legalli Islands, Raster Islands, private. Now that we slow down and you have the view on the right, because you're gonna have the view on the right, so if you wanna take pictures, get ready with smartphones or cameras. I suggest you to focus on the bigger island, okay? The one on the left. You can spot a squared watchtower and a white villa on the island. Now we will talk about it. Have a look. Thank you, Salvatore. Mamma mia, he literally stopped in the curve. Amazing. Grazie. Okay, what about these islands, ladies and gentlemen? Now the big one is private. Before talking about the island, now I'm gonna walk till the back of the bus because I would like to show you a picture. The big island now is known as one of the 10 most beautiful islands in the world, having a shape of an animal. In fact, by locals, by us, it's also known as the Dolphin Island, because if you look at that island from above, it literally has the perfect shape of a dolphin. Now, I don't need you to trust me because I'm gonna show it to you, okay? Give me just 30 seconds and I'm gonna walk till the back of the bus showing you the picture of that island. Here we are. You see? That's the island itself. You can see the watchtower and the white villa on the island. Let's go. Really, you see? That's nice. So now we will do. I need a lot of balance. Okay. So now, that island, ladies and gentlemen, that we just saw is private. It's owned by a local businessman from Sorrento called Giovanni Russo. But he has not been the first owner of the island. The first owner of the island was not even Italian. He was a Russian dancer. And I think that some of you have heard about that Russian dancer. Was pretty famous. Rudolf Nureyev. Nureyev has been the first owner of that island. Why Nureyev? How did he get here? Because in Ravello, the only town that we have up on the mountains of the Amalfi coast, Ravello now is famous to be the town of music. We have the Ravello Music Festival. So Nureyev used to come to Ravello to dance, okay? So when he came here, he fell in love with the Amalfi coast. He saw those islands, and he decided to buy the big one. And on the big island, he built his private villa, the white one that you can see. Then when Nureyev passed away in the 1993, the local businessman from Sorrento, Giovanni Russo, still alive today, he bought the island from Nureyev's family. You may remember in Italy in 1993 there was not the euro yet. The national currency was the lira. And it was way better for everybody. I didn't even experience the lira, but I know because now my parents, my grandparents, they always say, oh my God, when the lira was here. Everything was cheaper. Imagine now if you pay a coffee €1, they were paying it 10 cents.
Yeah.
And wages were the same. But even for you, dollar was really strong. You were coming here and you could do everything. Because now $1 is less than €1. Once $1 was like 10 euros. Imagine how it was, okay? So now that you know a little bit about the comparison, what do you guess? How many millions euros did he spend to buy that island? Euros of today compared to the lira of 30 years ago. 15. You say 15 millions.
Half.
You're close. East Coast, 15 millions. We are about 20 million euros 30 years ago. 20 million euros 30 years ago, it's like you talk about today. Hundreds of millions. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, the value of that island now goes between, it depends, it doesn't have a real value, but the local businessman, he refused 320 million euros from a Russian oligarch. 2022, after the COVID, a Russian oligarch, he came here right before the war in Ukraine. Right before the war, he came here to buy the island. He offered 320, thinking I was selling my island, and he didn't. But also because he makes a lot of money thanks to that island, ladies and gentlemen. If you want, you can rent it. Oh yeah, for one day, your celebrations, birthday, wedding, or for a week, for your holiday. In the White Villa, ladies and gentlemen, there are 8 different suites. Each suite costs between 120 and 150,000 euros per week. More or less 20,000 euros per night. But you have breakfast included, eh? Breakfast is included. Or otherwise, imagine that 2 years ago we had the wedding of a pretty famous Italian couple from the Italian TV. Maybe Silvia knows that, Cecilia Rodriguez. So he's pretty famous, the sister of one of the most famous ladies in Italian TV. They married over there and they spent for one night, talking about just one night, 900,000 euros for the wedding. Jesus, that's the reaction I was expecting. Yes, that's my same reaction. We don't say Jesus, we say Mamma Mia. It was crazy, yeah? So it's a really exclusive. He doesn't need, ladies and gentlemen, to sell that island because he can make millions of euros every year thanks to that place over there. And you have to know, everybody. Now, do you remember I talked about the legend, the Greek legend, the land of the Sirens, giving the name to the Sorrento Peninsula? Have you ever heard about the Sirens? Better known as the mermaids, but we have no mermaids. Not gonna talk about the mermaids now, because many people, now we know the mermaids, the beautiful half women and half fishes, but we have to know that in the Greek mythology, ladies and gentlemen, they do not exist. They never mention the mermaids. They just mention the sirens that were monsters, looking like huge chickens with wings that could fly, just with the face of a woman. Those were the sirens, but always with a beautiful and mesmerizing voice. And ladies and gentlemen, in the Greek mythology, the sirens were living on those islands. That's where they were living. Thanks to the strategic position of the islands, they could spot all the sailing ships sailing close to the coast, and then they started to sing. And with their songs, they mesmerized all the sailors. Once mesmerized, they used to reach the middle of those islands. Once there, the sirens were flying above them, killing everybody to eat them. So the legend of the sirens literally says that nobody had ever survived the mesmerizing songs of those monsters. Except one. Exactly, ladies. Because as for all the Greek legends, we have the main character, we have the hero of the legend. For me, the greatest Greek hero that ever existed, the main character of the greatest Greek poem that we have, the Odyssey. So here it comes, Odysseo, Ulysses. You heard about this. Before sailing close to the islands, he asked his crew to tie him up on the mast of the ship, so he could not try to reach the islands on his own. And then he told his crew to plug their ears, so they could not listen to the songs. And in fact, while they were sailing close to the islands, ladies and gentlemen, the sirens of course started to sing. The members of the crew, they could not listen to anything. They just kept sailing. While Ulysses, he was completely hypnotized by the songs of the sirens. He was screaming and shouting, asking for help, trying to free himself to reach the islands to meet the sirens. But he could not. He was stuck on board, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks to his intelligence, he has been the first one and the only one in the history to listen to the mesmerizing songs of the sirens and to survive. So this is the Greek legend, ladies and gentlemen, that is giving the name not to Sorrento, but to the Sorrentan Peninsula, the land of the sirens. And let me tell you something else, mostly to you gentlemen. We should all try to take inspiration from Ulysses. He has been the first man and probably the only one in the history to defeat a woman. But maybe you have got more experience than me in a way. Later, without ladies, we will talk about men business. Don't worry about it. So nobody's gonna get in trouble. Okay, now ladies and gentlemen, you can start to enjoy the real Mamma Mia road. That's real right now. That's the road starts to be the most panoramic one. We are literally close to Positano. Couple of minutes we will be above the town of Positano. The other town that we can see on the very right, now that we turn, you see, that's not Positano. That's already the second town that we have on the Amalfi, because that is Praiano. We will drive through Praiano later, because to reach Amalfi we have to keep driving that direction and drive around those hills. Amalfi is way farther than that one, so that's just the second town of the Amalfi coast. And what about Positano? Positano is the oldest that we have on the Amalfi coast. Positano has been the first town founded here. This is the internal road of Positano, one way down to the bottom. So 5 minutes, you can start to get ready in 5 minutes. We're going to be at the parking, and all we have to do is enjoy our walk through the town till the beach. So I'm gonna give you some tips for the orientation. Then you just have to relax, ladies and gentlemen. Have a look to the right, how beautiful it is. Have a look how we built houses here. Look right over there. So we started to build the houses, ladies and gentlemen, all over the cliffs way later. Positano, imagine, was founded during the 6th century before Christ. Only during the second half of the 9th century after Christ, they started to build the houses here. When Amalfi became the first maritime republic of Italy. When Amalfi became a maritime republic, and there were all the merchants coming to the Amalfi coast, stopping to the Amalfi coast, they needed more accommodations all over the area. And they started to build houses and buildings everywhere, even here. But look at the area, the territory. The only way to have more houses and accommodations for the merchants was by building all the houses one above the other by the cliff. So that's the other theory about the name. When they started to build the houses one above the other and Positano started to look like a vertical town, they gave it the name of Pasitea. Then from Pasitea we have Positano, ladies and gentlemen. But now here is the town where we started to enjoy the Dolce Vita. The VIPs during the 1970s, the 1980s, they used to come to Positano to enjoy the Dolce Vita, the slow life as well. That's what people do here. In fact, even here, such a small town, imagine 3,900 inhabitants. And imagine that during the high season, we have roughly between 9 to 12,000 people sleeping in town. What does it mean? That we have 4,000 inhabitants and 8,000 tourists sleeping in town. So there are more tourists than locals. But this is just for 5 to 6 months per year. And have a look to the left, how beautiful it is. Have a look on the houses. On some of the houses you can spot some white domes. Can you see some white domes on the roofs of the houses? This is something really characteristic from Positano, ladies and gentlemen. Something they invented here. Because once, when there was no air conditioning, no heater, they built these domes on the roofs of the houses that are empty inside. So, what does it mean? That inside there is the humidity. And the humidity in those domes keeps the houses cooler during summer and warmer during winter. And they still do that, so they need less air conditioning and less heater, so they can save some money on that. Okay, that's why it's something really common in the town of Positano. And of course, once they started to do that, this is something that we... That's why you never have to use Wikipedia as your source of information. He was an explorer. During his journey to China, he discovered the compass in China. So the Chinese invented the compass. Probably one of the few things that they invented. They didn't call it. But they invented the compass. So how did he do it? Why did he become famous? Because he has been the one that improved the magnetic compass and brought the magnetic compass on the ships. So he's been the first one using the magnetic compass during the navigation. So nowadays, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, now from here you're gonna have time, you're gonna take some family pictures on the beach with the beautiful view of all the houses on the background. let's get a little bit this way. You have a better view into the idea about the family picture you're going to take. On the beach, after the family picture, you will have also time in case you need to use the restrooms, public restrooms. They're right over there, okay? Right there. Toilets. When you go there, you just need to say
All
this
of
big
them.
group. Okay? Say this big group because
do they
see, the chefs are going to take care.
The public toilet, you just say,